It's just such a crazy market, and that's what I want to talk about tonight, is just navigating this crazy market. How's business for you?
I got 4 listings and I got another one today.
Yay! Is that right?
Yeah, I want to sell
Super
one of
proud
them
of
to
you.
you.
What's that?
I said I want to sell one of them to you.
Well, that'd be great. Why don't you tell us about your listings?
Well, it's the one for West Sacramento. I finally got that one.
Yes.
And I got one in escrow and Turlock.
Wow.
And that one's kind of interesting because there's a verbal dispute over property boundary lines. And in this particular area, they have no record of survey. So all the quotes I was getting for surveyors to go out there and mark the corners, they were like $10, $12, $15,000 on top of this loan being an FHA, and they're requiring, hey, this is pre-1978, removal of lead-based paint, all that other stuff. But we got the property line thing fixed and looking for vendors. So if you know any that can, paint and are willing to do it within a week. But yeah, and then one's going to be on the market on July, and then the other one, what's the other one doing? Oh, it's in Los Banos.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so your listing that's coming on in July, tell us about that.
It's a fixer out in Lodi.
Okay.
And it's, I'll say 2 structures on one lot. The first house is a 3-bedroom, 1 bath. However, it could be easily converted into a 4-2, or even a 5-2, believe it or not. They actually had a home inspector go in there and they said, this attic is big enough. If you wanted to put stairs in here, you could put a room. I was like, oh crap, cool.
Wow. And
they have a basement downstairs. So the house in the back, the foundation is failing, and it's raised foundation, and lots and lots of junk back there. There's some fencing that blew over from the beginning of this year. But now they're just, they're trying to get the house cleared out of just junk. There was a squatter there, but he ended up going to jail. So my sellers are so thrilled now because they were able to go in there and change locks and do all this stuff. So we're making progress on that one.
Yeah. Well, just be careful. Have them talk to someone regarding the belongings that belong to the squatter, because even though he's got a jail, there could potentially be squatter rights, not to like throw any sort of additional complication into the mix, because I'm sure that there's a lot there, but just make sure that you're talking with your mentor too, to look at any kind of complications, so you can head them off before they potentially arise. So
we've already spoken to a real estate attorney, and he put some stuff together for us, and we put this 90-day notice of abandonment on there, and he instructed the seller on exactly what to do with all of his belongings.
Well, good job. I mean, you're really getting ahead of any potential issues, so that's brilliant. Good job.
Yeah.
Awesome. So Wang, I don't know that I've met you or Edwina before. Wang, how are you tonight?
Good. How are you? Actually, this is my first time joining. I joined EXP as a new agent about 3 months ago. I also have a full-time job.
Oh, well, welcome.
Thanks. I do IT management work for PG&E, so that's my day job. Do this on the side.
Oh, wow.
Currently, well, I'm not as active as Chris here, but I have my friends that I'm trying to help out with. They're a potential buyer. They're looking for a place here in North Natomas, so I'm helping them out through the process. So starting small with my friends, and I'll venture out later.
You know what? Everybody starts within their sphere of influence. That's just the way that it goes. 9 times out of 10. So that's really the best way. And when you have that warm audience and those people who already know you, like you, trust you, they're going to give you a little more grace too than a stranger that you don't necessarily have that relationship with. So tonight's class, I wanted to just talk about the market. I wanted to talk about the tools that we have at our disposal and helping clients to understand the market. The reason why I think it's really important for us to talk about this, obviously, is because our market is nuts right now. And it's, sometimes the expectations of the client they're not aligning with what the market is actually doing. So it's really difficult, especially if the client feels that they have any sort of grasp whatsoever on the real estate market, helping them to understand and educate them based off of just having those conversations. We need to back it up with tools, data, things like that. So I just wanted to go over some tools such as trend graphics and just really help you, to maximize that.
Always leverage your people in EXP, like people that you know. I actually and forgive me for this, Mitzi, but I leveraged Mitzi and I showed my seller the profile for my property in West Sac. And I said, I have some experts in my brokerage that really, give me some sound advice and are willing to help me get your house, on the market and sold. And, I just shared the profiles and they were like, oh, cool, you're hired.
Oh.
Leverage your people that are around you. So leverage John, leverage what's her name, Marguerite. You know what I mean? All these people that you are around and talk to, just associate yourselves with these people, and
awesome.
that's gonna go so far for you, because they're gonna be like, well, why should I listen to you? Because you've only been in the real estate business for X amount of years or months. But that's what I would say.
Right. Yeah. That makes sense.
And I feel like, especially when you're newer, it's easy for us to kind of get inside our heads and feel like, gosh, what is it that how am I the expert, right? How am I the expert if I'm kind of learning myself, or how can I convey that I'm the expert to my clients? And the reality is, the worst thing that you could possibly do is try to fake it. You know what I mean? It's just all about learning and growing. But yes, absolutely leverage the people that are in your network. And that really does go so far. It really, really does.
Got it. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Well, we do have a lot of people here with vast knowledge, so I'm definitely looking to leverage that when time comes.
It's definitely tricky right now. Just I've had a couple different scenarios that have popped up over the past week with agents that are in my on my team, actually, that have been really tricky to navigate. And so I wanted to show you guys how we are able to kind of navigate those with leveraging our tools such as trend graphics. Is anyone here familiar with trend graphics, or have any of you used trend graphics?
I have. Yeah, it's super helpful. It gives people an eyeball picture of what's going on in their market.
Real estate markets are very hyper local. They're also very what's going on at one price point may be something that's completely different than what's going on at a separate price point. So for example, before we just overall in general found ourselves in a scenario where we had 40% of the inventory that we've had in the past, with twice as many buyers out looking for homes because of low interest rates and things like that. There were different price points that were moving a lot slower. Always the first time buyer kind of price point moves pretty quickly just in general. But you'll see that there are trends that actually will move the market. So, it's really helpful when you can sit down with a buyer and that buyer is looking at, a price point between, 500 and 550, for example. And you can say, okay, I understand that, your friend told you a story about how they were able to negotiate a price down on a property that they had offered on in the $700,000 to $750,000 range. Well, you know, here's the thing: in the $500,000 to $550,000 range, on average, houses in your market are selling at, you know, 110% of their asking price within 5 days or 7 days or whatever it is, because now you're able to actually show them the statistics, and then they can make an educated decision as far as, you know, what they want to do. So that's, you know, again, I really want to show you guys my screen so I can teach you how to navigate that, because it's just such a helpful tool.
I guess the thing is, well, I haven't been doing much of my homework, is just trying to get my name out there, and you know, trying to bring in clients. I mean, most of the clients that I've had was basically, you know, just word of mouth. I haven't had to hunt for them, but I know eventually I'm going to have to start hunting for clients on my own. So I haven't even used KV Core yet, because obviously I don't have time to set it up. I mean, it isn't an excuse. I'd like to, but my day job takes, you know, takes a lot of my time.
So give us some background. How long have you been in the business, and how many houses have you sold in your career?
Oh gosh, I want to say less than 10. I've had my license since my sales license 2004, 5 at that time, I think. Had my broker's license probably around 2006. Had my own business. That didn't go too well because of the fact that, you know, the day job was there.
Yeah.
I was broker of record with family because family had a business in SoCal. When the market tanked 2008 and 9, I could not handle, you know, being a member of 2 boards.
Yeah.
And flying up and down California and flying out of state for my job.
Sure.
So yeah, there's just a lot of things, and I know, I mean, I've always wanted to, you know, to be in real estate also, but then, you know, some things have to give. And in addition, I do have my mortgage loan origination license also since 2000, I think it was like 2014 or so. But I haven't been able to do much of that either, because I've always been like, if I focus on MLO, it's the people that come to you. If you focus on real estate, it's you, you know, as the realtor, you have to go look for the people.
Right. Building that business.
Yeah.
So no, that
and it
makes
isn't
sense.
and it isn't something that, you know, it isn't, I just want to help people. It isn't something that I really want to go big on. You know, it's just helping and educating, you know, the people, because the ones that, you know, that lost their homes in 2008, 9, you know, they weren't educated, and there was just so many agents out there that were just not, you know, they weren't truthful, you know, they weren't there to educate, they were there for themselves.
Sure.
So I mean, real estate is just secondary to me. It's not my main thing right now.
Right. So why now? I mean, when did you decide to start devoting more time to building that business, and what was the shift for you?
Well, it kind of started in 2014 because a friend of mine asked me what I was doing with my license, and I said nothing much yet. So I ended up, I went to take my license with a local broker also. So then when EXP came about, it was a discussion in about 2019, I think, and I was really hesitant in joining EXP at that time. It took me 2-3 months to decide, and I'm glad and I'm thankful I joined at that time, because of, you know, the training, the support group. Very thankful to have met John. I've learned so much from John, and also with colleagues, you know, in the team meeting that he has on Sundays, and in the way he has, you know, he has this Telegram app. We have questions, so you can post it on there, and I think that's, you know, a good way to learn. And to me, it's just, I don't know it all. I mean, it what it means is, like, you know, you pass your broker's exam, but passing it and doing actual is two different things.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, I mean, yeah, you have to be really in it to be able to, what's going on out there.
Right. Right. Okay. So this is just something that's kind of recent, is kind of shifting gears and looking to build. And what market are you in?
Roseville.
Oh, okay. So you're local.
Yeah.
Okay.
Local.
Got it. So, so in a perfect world, how many houses or how many buyers, sellers, or a combination of the two would you help every year?
Well, last year I was lucky. I had 5.
Mm-hmm.
This year I had 1. I could have another one soon, but it's all for discussion because it's in probate right now.
Got it. Okay. Okay. So, so you'd like to kind of keep it around, 5, 6 a year or somewhere around there?
About 5, 6 a year.
Okay.
I'm not asking for much.
No, and really with that, there's not a ton of necessarily outreach that you need to do really out into the marketplace. I mean, you can find 5 to 6 deals in your own personal sphere of influence probably very easy, as long as you just stay top of mind with people that already know you, like you, trust you, and make sure that you're sharing kind of what you're doing with them and just reaching out and just continuing to develop those relationships.
So I have a scenario. I have one where I prepared comps, the RPR and everything.
Mm-hmm.
At that time they were thinking, it's probably nearly 2 months now.
Mm-hmm.
They're thinking of wanting to sell and buy. So I was thinking, shoot, I could double end on this thing.
Yeah.
But and I know they're a state employee also.
Uh-huh.
How would you go about like reaching out again? I mean, I know there's other things going on in their lives right now, and it's not something, whatever's going on in their lives right now is the first priority. So
Sure.
Selling and buying a home would be secondary. But how would I go about, bringing that up again as, a reminder? But then, we all work in the same place, so
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure how to bring that up.
Well, I mean, the reality is, the more you don't want to just make your relationship just about them, helping them buy and sell real estate. So, what I would do is just continue to develop that relationship, offer to take them out to lunch at some point, or, just check in. Hey, how's everything going? How's the family? What's going on in your world? And the more that you're having those conversations, they're really going to raise their hand, and let you know. And then just not to kind of force the conversation in an awkward or kind of way out of left field kind of way, but just in the normal course of conversation, you may just, approach whoever it is and, oh, hey, how's it going? And they're like, oh yeah, everything's good. And, how's the kids? How's the family? And in that normal back and forth, the conversation may go there naturally, or you may say, hey, whatever happened to you guys thinking about making a move? Sure, you're not waiting on me for anything. I've been keeping a close eye on the market, and I can give you kind of some statistics so you see what's going on. Excuse me, is that something that you're even potentially considering this year still? And they'll tell you,
Okay. Yeah, because she's confirmed with me that they don't have a realtor. And that's how I decided at that time is to do a comp for them, and provided information from RPR and all of that. And I even provided, the home buying process and the selling process and all of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, just remember, you're the expert. So whether it's helping them buy or sell real estate, or, maybe you had some, knowledge about something completely different that, they needed or that would be helpful to them. It's just all about, continuing to just develop that relationship, have those open conversations. And then, don't be afraid to bring it up just in a way that's, tactful, and not so that every single time they see you come and they're like, oh gosh, okay, I don't know what to tell Edwina because we're not ready yet. And, so just maybe as you're having those conversations, you know, like I said, a big one is offering to take whoever it is to lunch, because as you're sitting down and you're actually eating with that person, there's something that we refer to as breaking bread, and that when you're actually sitting across the table eating with someone, conversations get naturally deeper. So it gives you that opportunity, you know, to kind of get them talking and just do way more listening than talking. And and you'll see that the conversation is either naturally going to go there, or you can kind of bring it up and it's going to be in a very subtle, non-threatening kind of way for them. So they're not feeling like, oh gosh, she just asked me to lunch because she wanted to know, you know, she can help me with real estate.
Right. Okay.
So what about you, Wang? What's going on with your business, and kind of where are you at with everything?
Well, I have one of my coworkers, he wants to buy a property in Auburn, so I'm helping him looking at some options over there, what's available in that area for his retirement home. And I have a close friend that's also looking in the Thomas area, that's just moving away from his current home, rent that out, and just buying a bigger place here because his family is just growing. So those two are the major ones that I'm currently working with. I actually got my real estate license so that I can buy and sell my own properties, so that I can grow my investment.
Is that right?
Yeah, so I can grow my real estate investment. That's what I actually want to get into. But you know, I'm looking to help my friends and close some deals here and there, so that I can get extra funds to buy more real estate. So that's the goal.
Gotcha. Okay, well, that sounds good, and it sounds like you're just getting your feet wet because you're kind of at the beginning. So, with those buyers that you're helping, do you already have them talking with a lender to see how much they qualify to borrow?
Right. I have one friend that's already my coworker he's already pre-qualified. The friend in the Thomas, he's going through the broker that I've been using when I was buying my real estate. So he's is in process of refinancing now and getting a pre-qualified so he can use that VA loan that he has. He can use that to buy a new property, primary home. So he's going through the process now. So it should take him about a couple of weeks to finish that process. And I just talked to him this morning. He said within about 2 weeks, he's ready to go look at some houses. So he might be my first deal, first transaction.
Oh, good. Well, yeah. Well, hey, you know what? That's great. And just definitely, you know, let us know how we can help. And I'm sure that you've got a strong mentor that can help guide you through that. And we're all here to just kind of support you and help you however we can. So
awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. So just shifting gears a little bit, because you know, the ultimate goal was to help you guys to use the tools that we have available to us to not only understand the market ourselves, but to be able to help our clients and our communities to understand the market as well. And so now I'm able to share my screen, which you can see here. So I'm going to show you guys how to get into the trend graphics reports and how to use those to understand the market. And for those of you that don't know, Ryan Lundquist is actually a very solid resource for information as well. He has the Sacramento Appraisal blog, and he is a plethora of information about our market, you know, how to run and present trend graphics reports. And he's just really been a huge resource for me over the years, just getting familiar with these tools and things like that as well. So definitely, if you have not looked up the Sacramento Appraisal blog, look that up. He's on LinkedIn and some other platforms as well. And again, that's Ryan Lundquist with a U. So I'll show you guys the way that my team and I use the trend graphics reports. you know, it's, again, real estate markets are very hyper local. They're also, you're going to see some things emerge as you're looking specifically within a certain market. One of the things that I've always found really interesting is, you know, sometimes there'll be a market that's just going nuts. Like any house that hits the market, you can't keep it on. The inventory just goes as fast as it comes on. And I'll have a market like that. Like, for example, one time the Rockland market was really going crazy, and I listed a house in the Rockland market on the same day I listed a house in the Lincoln market. And I put them on just within moments of one another, and my phone started to blow up. So Rockland, up and through that point, you know, almost the day prior, was so hot I could not even get my buyers in to see a house before the house was pending. So of course, when the phone started ringing, I thought for sure all these agents were going to be calling about my Rockland listing. Well, turns out they were actually all calling for my Lincoln listing, and my Rockland listing actually sat for a little bit before we got it sold. You know, it was priced well, it showed well. It really wasn't that. It was just, you know, again, real estate markets are so hyper local, and you'll be surprised sometimes what, you know, where buyers are kind of flocking to. And it's almost like they're all kind of flocking to one area, and then maybe because it's forgotten about a little bit, you know, and it's not as busy, and then it's kind of oversaturated with buyers, and then the buyers kind of go elsewhere, and then that market blows up. I don't know why it happens the way it does, but I just know that understanding the market and using trend graphics will really be your friend, so that you can help educate your clients and stay on top of it all. So I'll show you guys. Let's look at, for example, the Lincoln market, just because I had a colleague earlier that needs to kind of pull this data and send it to one of her sellers to help them understand. You know, they're buying and selling at the same time, and they're thinking that the market that they're selling in is nowhere near as hot as the market that they're hoping to buy in, which is the Lincoln market. And one of the things that I had suggested was pulling the trend graphics report so that so that she was able to present the information to her sellers to really show them what the numbers are truly saying about the market that they're looking to buy in versus the market that they're selling in. So what I'm doing here is I went initially, and I'm just pulling the 95648 zip code. So this is going to include all of Lincoln. I don't need to select a city because 95648 is only Lincoln, so it's pretty straightforward. We're just looking at single family homes, not condos, halfplexes, property with acreage, any of that. But I'm also drilling down just to the price point that they're looking within, because, you know, I really want to analyze that price point in a really intentional way. And I just want to kind of see, you know, I want to compare apples to apples. So I'm going to do the same exact thing in the market that they're selling in and just see kind of what these numbers look like. So with that, I would, you know, plug in all the information that I'd like. And again, this is a free resource that we have right there through the MLS. And I'm going to click on show chart. Keep in mind that with trend graphics, it's going to show you the month in arrears. The reason being is because obviously they can't show us June because we're still in June. So this is actually going from May to May, and I didn't change that. So we're looking at a 1-year snapshot, and you'll see that here, or excuse me, a 15-month snapshot. So I challenge you all to get in and play with this report so that you can familiarize yourself with it, not just on the sell side, but the buy side. You can look at, you know, for sale versus sold versus pended, and start to see some trends here. And one of the things is that this tool is so underutilized that there's a lot of other agents that are not providing this information. So it's really helpful when you're coming armed with this information. For example, we can see, back in April, May of 2020, when COVID really started to become something that kept us all home, you can see that the months of inventory started to spike up. Well, guess what? Back in summer, it dropped quite a bit. So houses were not staying on the market even for an entire month. But we spiked up around the holidays, which is pretty common. And then since then, we've been staying at a really low months of inventory ratio, and we're starting to actually trend upward just a little bit here in May. So so that's really an interesting thing. I personally feel it because I work primarily in the Lincoln market, and I feel like the amount of offers on individual homes have really started to slow. It's not uncommon that we're seeing multiple offers, but I feel like it's becoming more important than ever to really price homes competitively so that they're not sitting or even having price reductions. Whereas, March and April.
Yeah, 1 minute.
So in March and April, there were a lot of sellers that were kind of determining what a fair market value was, sellers and agents, and then kind of adding, 25, 30, 40, 50,000 onto that number, and they were getting their price. So because we're seeing the market trend upward a little bit, at least on this graphic, it's really helpful to be able to have those conversations. Additionally, I really like this particular report. It's the market summary report, because I'm not necessarily a big chart person myself. And so, I can present the information, but I can't necessarily break it all down in a way that, somebody who's looking at charts every day, I don't want to provide information and explain it in a way that doesn't really make sense to them. Whereas this market summary report really breaks it all down and helps them to understand. And like I said, there's so few agents that are using these tools that this is really going to impress your clients. It really takes away that conversation where they're feeling like, oh, Mitzi's telling me that I should really come in strong and place this really aggressive offer. No, the market's telling you to do that, and here's why. And it just really helps us to have those conversations. So
how do you get to those reports in MLS?
So you just go from your home screen here, and then just right along the top of the home screen, you're going to click on trends, and it's going to bring it up right here. And it's so neat because you can email it, you can print it. But this is the report, like I said, I really like. And I'm showing you guys how to just drill down on one specific price range, but definitely you're also going to want to look at the market as a whole. So you're not just pigeonholing just in case there's not a lot of movement in that particular price point. But I think it's really important to say, hey, here's what the market's doing as a whole, but also look at what the market's doing in this particular price point so that they can really understand. So it's just a nice professional looking graphic that you're able to provide. And like I said, you can email this, you can print it, take it with you in your listing presentations as you're sitting down with buyers or out showing houses. It's really helpful. So again, here it's showing the ratio of sold price versus the original list price is 104%, an increase of 4% compared to the previous year. And this is really helpful too, depending on the conversation that you're having with a particular client when they're saying, well, is the market going to crash? Well, no, it's stating here that the versus last year, the total number of properties available this month is lower by 30 units or 83%. This year's smaller inventory means buyers who waited to buy may have smaller selections to choose from. But the number of current inventory is up 20% compared to the previous month. So we're starting to see more inventory coming on the market. So that's really helpful. this will actually break down your price per square foot, and that the price per square foot is greatly trending upward. So again, really helpful when you're helping your buyers to understand the market and maybe get off the fence a little bit. Whereas the days on market is showing a downward trend. So, you know, that's something to take note of as well. And, you know, there's just so much great information here. Talks about the average for sale price in May was $540,000, down 2.7% from $555 in May of 2020, but up 1.9% from $530 last month. Again, this is very hyper focused on this one particular price point. So as you kind of broaden the report and take out the metrics that we've put in for the purpose of this report, you know, it's going to give you even a better overall snapshot of the market. So, and this talks about the absorption rate as well, and how you can help your clients to understand that number. So now with that, you know, again, the whole goal for this report was to help a particular client understand the market that they're buying in versus the market that they're selling in. So they're selling within the 95843 zip code. So I just want to pull that up really quick. Zip codes are it's so funny how areas are super hyper local just based on different factors. For example, the 95843, that is an area of antelope that feeds into Roseville schools. So obviously it's going to be a little different than like the 95842 or the 95841, which are neighboring communities that don't offer that same ability. So looking at the price point that they're selling within, they're selling between the $600,000 and $700,000 price point. And then just comparing those, same thing, I just let it default to the 15 months. And we're just looking at single family homes. And if we look at our market summary, now we can kind of do a side-by-side comparison of what the market is doing for both areas. And as I'm pulling this, can you guys think of ways that you're able to leverage this information to have conversations with your clients?
Yeah, save it as a graphic and post it to your Facebook page.
That too. And the thing is, you know, again, this looks like something that somebody spent hours compiling. But no, it's just right here. It's at our fingertips. And for those of you who aren't really familiar with the MLS and with the tools that are available, get in there, play around. You take some free webinars. It's really the best way that you're going to familiarize yourself with what's available, is just get in there and do it. This particular price point, you know, while this looks impressive, there's so few homes in this price point that it's really not giving us anything useful. So what I would do in this scenario is actually go back and close out of here. And then, you know, again, you want to get enough data to where it's actually helpful. So instead of drilling down, because this is actually kind of a high price point for antelope as a whole, maybe you start at the 500 and go up to the 700. And then you can kind of manipulate that data. Same thing with the data that you're displaying on the buy side, so that you are comparing the apples to apples. So let's see what that does. So now we have a little more data, you know, to go based off of. And in this situation, you know, the seller's thinking that if they sell in the one market, that market is not as aggressive as the market that they're buying in, and somehow they're disadvantaged. But, you know, again, the way that I feel about it is that because the offers that they've generated on the property that they're selling are so aggressive, it's actually more beneficial for them to take advantage of what the market is offering them for their property versus waiting and potentially having their market greatly reduced and then trying to buy a lower price home. So the gap's going to be smaller, sure, but they're going to be losing out on a lot of equity that, if they wait and the market overall softens a little bit because of the increase in inventory and the slowdown in buyers. So you can see, this is going over average days on market. You can see different spikes during different time periods. This is June of 2020. This is in March, the days on market, and in their particular market crept all the way up to 22 days on market. Now they're at 9. And so, that gives you a lot of information to be able to share. It looks like the average for sale price is depreciating. So average for sale price in May was $528, down from $553 in May of 2020, and actually down 6.5% from $565 last month. The sold price is going up, so that's positive. But again, you can kind of see a comparatively lower months of inventory is more beneficial for sellers, while a higher months of inventory is better for buyers. So it's definitely a seller's market. So here we can see the absorption rate and how that all factors in as well. And now being able to have those conversations with those clients and send them this information is really helpful. And now they feel like they're armed with the information to make the best decisions for them. So what questions do you guys have for me on the trend graphics reports?
Those are great tools when you do a listing presentation. I mean, I did that for every single one of mine, and they really appreciated the information that you're providing them. And it does look like you spent countless hours putting these things together.
Yeah, it's really amazing to me. And a lot of agents don't necessarily use these tools because either they don't know that they're available or they don't know how to use them. And it's really not really difficult, to use them and to take advantage of them. Same thing with a CMA, a market analysis. If you're going into a listing appointment or you're having a conversation with a buyer about whether or not they're overpaying on a house that's just simply not going to appraise, you can use these tools like the market analysis to kind of show them what the market's doing overall and help them to feel comfortable with the decisions that they're making.
I had a question for you, Mitzi. I mean,
Sure.
I took this strategy with that farmhouse in West Sac.
Mm-hmm.
And even with the comps, it shows a trend of people listing their properties, and it doesn't sell for quite some time, but they're all coming in at, sale price is always less than listed price. And it's tough because it's like, well, river properties, I picked these ones because they're along the river. You can't really do a comparison with regular ag land that's like landlocked. You know what I mean? You've got this nice river feature, and it's like that's the pattern that it's showing.
Yeah.
But my seller, in response to that, jacked up her price to like an extra $150K, and I'm just looking at her. I'm like, that's really expensive for your property if you take a look at what your these comps here.
Right.
And she's like, she's already anticipating lowball offers. That's why she jacked it up so high. And I what do you do in that kind of situation where it's like you're showing the trends,
right,
and they're like, okay, well, I'm gonna follow suit, And matter of fact, I'm going to jack it up higher. And I didn't want to sit there and argue with her, but, you know, I did say, you know, if we don't get any kind of movement on this, you know, let's consider some of the price points. And I always email them, you know, what's going on in the market, any new listings, anything that's sold. And, you know, that's what I do, is just as a courtesy, you know, for them, just to let them know, hey, I'm watching the market for you and this is what's going on, you know?
Sure.
So,
Well,
I mean, other than just saying, biting your tongue and saying, okay, we'll go with that price, but then if it doesn't sell at that price, you have to agree to with me to come down, you know?
So a couple things. Keep in mind 4 things sell a house or a property, right? Price, location, condition, marketing. So price is obviously a variable that you can manipulate, that you and the seller, you know, the seller can decide what kind of their bottom line is and how long they're willing to wait to get that price, and whether or not they're willing to chase the market in the event that the market does start to soften and their listing becomes stale. Are they comfortable kind of gambling the additional 150,000 in this case to start off high and then chasing the market, you know, in a downward pattern when all the buyers that are at that price point have decided that their listing is stale? There must be something wrong with it. It's no longer new and exciting. So that's kind of what I'll share with my clients, you know. So price is a variable that they can manipulate. Condition is something that also that, you know, they're able to manipulate to some degree, just depending on what efforts they're willing to put in, if any, to prepare their house for the market. That could include decluttering, potentially, you know, painting, staging, changing floors, you know, whatever it is that they're willing to do. Location, they can't do anything about, even if the location is terrible or it's top notch, doesn't matter. Marketing, you're going to do a phenomenal job and really knock it out of the park when it comes to marketing. You're going to market to the benefits of their property, including location and things like that, and really accentuate those things about their property that would help a potential buyer be attracted to their property. And one way that you're going to help them to understand what all marketing efforts that you're going to, you know, all the links that you've gone to help market their property is by sending them a weekly report that includes what your marketing efforts have been over that past week. And, you know, so that they have all of that information at their fingertips. So again, you know, those 4 out of those 4 things, price, location, condition, marketing, price is really what they're able to manipulate and enable to in order to achieve their goal of getting their property sold. That being said, any seller can get any price for a property as long as they're willing to wait. So what I do is when I go into a listing appointment, I say, okay, what is most important to you in the sale of your home? Is it price? Is it time? So, you know, 9 times out of 10, they want to get the property sold quickly. So, you know, I'll tell them, hey, there is no harm in pricing your property to sell, because if the market's going to bear more for your home than what we listed at, we can't stop the market from driving the price up to where it should be, you know. So to your point, you know, say for example, you came in there and you suggested to that seller that they list at 800. Not only can you say, okay, here's the data behind all these other people who, for whatever reason, felt like their house was worth more, listed it higher, ended up sitting on the market, ended up dropping the price in order to get it sold. They all sold right around this $800,000 mark that I'm suggesting. And oh, by the way, their property was stale. Their property had been sitting for a while by the time they got that offer, and they were probably just happy to make a deal. I'm suggesting we start at this $800,000 mark. We do a great job marketing your property. do everything that you feel comfortable doing on the front end to improve the condition and really drive it home in regards to the location, and let the market drive it up if it's going to. If your property sits for a week, 10 days, and we have one offer, well, then we know what the market was going to bear. The market talked to us. We had X amount of showings, we had one offer. This is what the market will bear for your property at this time.
Yeah, I think I'm going to address the issue with her after 2 weeks of marketing. I'm professional photography, aerial views of the listing. I could not, unfortunately, do any like video footage.
Mm-hmm.
But I even went so far as to say, encouraging, like, hey, let's do this thing at 7%. And they actually agreed to that, which it blew me away. You know what I mean? I was like, oh crap, that works. Because they're heavily relying on that. And I just said, they came back at me and kind of had some remorse and were saying, oh, that's kind of high. We've never heard of that before. And I was like, no, it's been done. And I've been asking for people like, hey, can you, if you have a listing out there that's sold at 7%, can you please share it with me just so I could show them that it works?
Yeah.
But I mean, that's also part of the marketing that I've done. And I'm looking at big signs to put on South River Road so that when people come by, they're like going there, and open houses there. So I've reached out to other agents. Hey, do you want to do an open house at this, farmhouse? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I just feel like, man, I know that people are going to look at that. I have one person request to show the house tomorrow.
Good.
So that's kind of a good thing, right? I mean, at that price point, it's like, wow,
Yeah.
But other than that, I mean, am I doing all I can? I mean, she doesn't want to put any more money into fixing it.
Right.
She's painted the wall, she's cleaned it out.
Yeah.
And then maybe this is a conversation I just need to have with you one-on-one, because I hate to take everybody else's time like Edwina and Wang.
No. Realistically, I think it's really helpful when we're having these open discussions. It's helping everyone because everyone's learning, because it can feel a little unnerving, especially when you're newer and you're just trying to solidify the listing. The last thing you want to do is give too much pushback because you're afraid what if they don't hire you as a result. But in reality, they're counting on you to be the expert. So what I would do is, number one, don't forget to send those marketing reports, like I said, every single week, so that they know what you've been doing to market the property. Because you can tell them till you're blue in the face, but they need to see it in black and white. Number two, have conversations with other agents and find out what their listings that are around the same area are doing. Number three, yes, go have a sign made, and there are places, it'll probably cost you about $60 to have one made. And go put it out there, South River Road, get that local traction going, social media, things like that. Like, find those buyers and those people that live in that community where they're at, and make sure that they are aware of that listing. And really, at the end of the day, that's all you can do until they're ready to drop the price. So just keep checking in, and ask them, okay, so when are you guys going to be ready to have this conversation? And I know we got to wrap up, but one more question for you. How long has the property been on the market?
2 days.
Oh, well then there you go. What's the address really quick, and we'll all take a look as a team.
Okay, it's 4480 South River Road. It's 95691 in West Sacramento.
Oh, so you guys ended up going 1.25.
That's what they wanted, and she even had an appraiser go out there and look at it, and he offered a 1.1. I said, well, it doesn't really carry much weight. You know what I mean? It's what the market is willing to bear. People can go out there until they're blue in the face and say, my house is 1.1. I did ask her what her bottom line is. What's the very bottom that you would want to walk away from this getting? And she said the price point would be $950.
Well, don't tell all us, but
well, I mean,
I'm just kidding.
Well, that's why I said one off. But I mean, no, $950. I mean, that's after commissions, after title, escrow, all that other stuff. That's what she wants to net.
Yeah. So then, yeah, I would say as for now, just, continue to do what you're doing, push it out, market, and then start to, build in those conversations regarding any potential price reductions after it's been on for a little bit and the market starts to talk to you.
Yeah.
And so this is only, oh, I see. So here's one thing that you can do. This is showing that it's only less than an acre. So anyone who's looking for acreage, even though you've got pricing includes this assessor parcel number, you need to go in and manipulate, go in and adjust your listing to include this acreage as well. Because right now, anyone who's got a search that's set up to only pull properties that are 7 acres and larger or 8 acres and larger are not seeing this listing.
Gotcha. Okay. I'm gonna fix that.
Yeah.
Change acreage. I had another quick question for you. For the workplace, is there a place that I know we've got like 55,000 agents nationwide, and I'd love to advertise it on a national level. Where on Workplace would you post this type of thing?
There are groups where you can advertise your listings and things like that. But yeah, I mean, I would definitely be advertising locally as well. But yeah, my advice on this would be to partner with other agents that have nearby listings and ask them, hey, what can I do to help get this listing more visible? And they'll tell you. Chances are they'll tell you because everyone's going to want to work together. So.
Okay.
Yeah, let us know how it goes.
I'm crossing my fingers. I mean, I'm actually having her do soil samples too, so I can add that. It's only $75. I thought it was going to cost an arm and a leg, but it's only $75.
Good, yeah, and just save that, upload that to the MLS. So
yeah.
All right. I know we got to let you guys go, so definitely call me privately if you have any additional questions on that, and I want to hear how that all plays out. Otherwise, does anyone else have any questions or anything as we're wrapping up?
No, I'm good for now, but thank you so much for the training.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was very nice to meet you guys, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thanks, Mitzi.
Yes. Thank you.